Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we are taking a look at Vader Immortal Episode 2, and we're also going to take a look at how well this game runs on a Valve Index with the use of Revive. This game is available exclusively from the Oculus Store. It is a cross-buy title, meaning if you buy it for the Quest or the Rift, you get it on both. This game is released as episodic content, with each episode costing $10. Episode 2 begins exactly where Episode 1 left off, and you begin your journey into the caverns of Mustafar side by side with Darth Vader. Episode 2 is just slightly shorter than Episode 1, coming in at roughly 30 minutes, and there is less of a focus on storytelling in this episode and more of feeling like a badass Force wielder. The majority of this episode has you force grabbing basically anything you can get your hands on, and while at first it felt a bit awkward, it quickly becomes extremely satisfying. Vader Immortal continues to be a graphical powerhouse. Basically every scene is a spectacle to behold. Without giving away any spoilers, the game definitely shocked me quite a few times during this episode, and I just found myself looking around, being wowed consistently. Mechanically, the game doesn't really bring anything new to the table. However, what is there is done well enough and is fun and exciting. My largest complaint stems from immersion breaking aspects. The game requires you to stand in specific spots to start cutscenes, and you are locked into that spot until the cutscene concludes. This is completely understandable, as they want you to have the best cinematic experience. However, there is a slight fade in and fade out when you move into these positions, which is slightly jarring and definitely immersion breaking. And while Vader Immortal is a VR presence king, immersion is again broken with small aspects like you can't interact with objects, specifically your companions. If they walk through you, your screen will just go black. And if you happen to force throw a rock into their head, they kind of just don't care. And this is where the game sadly becomes more of a watching an episode of Vader Immortal than actually living an episode. I also had some other annoyances where I got stuck in walls, and the game, especially on Revive, has this weird insistence on telling you to move back to the center of the play area, even when you are completely in the center of the play area. Overall, Vader Immortal Episode 2 is just more excellent content. With a focus on force powers, combat, and action, Episode 2 is actually more exciting than Episode 1. Sadly though, the episodes leave you wanting much more. The game is an easy recommendation for anyone who's a fan of VR, Star Wars, lightsabers, you have a pulse. I mean, this is the type of people who would enjoy this game. Moving on to what I call the Revive review. How well does this game work in Revive? I usually break it down into 3 categories: playability, graphics, and controls. So from a playability standpoint, there were no issues. I was able to play the game from beginning to end, no bugs, and nothing I can tell that was outside of the normal experience, except possibly for the overly eager please recenter yourself screen. I definitely did not encounter this as much on the Quest, and at one point while playing on the Index, I actually had to pause the game, go back to the main menu, losing a tiny bit of progression, simply to remove the recenter yourself message. It just refused to acknowledge that I was back in the center of my play area. Graphically, the game looks amazing, and I experienced no anomalies whatsoever. Previous versions of Revive had an issue where you couldn't play this game on high quality settings. That issue has been resolved, and besides a brightness issue that I've been informed is also seen on the Rift and Rift S, graphically this game looks amazing. I do have a fix for the brightness issue. I do not understand why Vader Immortal just doesn't have brightness settings inside the video options, because by default this game is just way too dark. It is uncomfortably dark to the point that you cannot see what you're doing, and this is actually even worse on the Valve Index. So check the description, guys. I do have that quick INI fix. Now moving on to controls. This is a very simple game. You can play it by teleport or with smooth locomotion if you prefer. So overall, there's not much that can actually go wrong. At first, I felt like the Index controllers might be compromising my force powers slightly. I didn't have the exact amount of control I wanted to, but then playing the game again on the Quest, it was basically the same. So after a little bit of practice, 9 times out of 10 I was able to do what I wanted to do with my force powers. Wrist rotation just seems to be a bit more accurate on the Oculus Quest controllers. So from a revive standpoint, you will not have any issues running this game, and it really will not impact your enjoyment. If anything, you're going to be experiencing this game on a higher resolution screen with some awesome speakers, so it might actually enhance the experience. Just apply the brightness fix and try not to stray out of your center play area, and you're going to have a great time, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this review and found it informative. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, guys, and let me hear that feedback in the comments below. Okay, I will see you guys next time.